Kijo taking us to Benin with this one, titled Africa. A blessed and beautiful one to you and yours, 37 minutes after 10 p.m. Central African time. It's time for us to get into our very first conversation. Before we do that, though, let me tell you where to get a hold of us. Finding us on WhatsApp, send through your questions to our next guest. 634069126. You can find us on all social media platforms. Use the handle at Channel Africa 1. And if you want to conscientize family, friends, I was about to combine them and call them femmes. That doesn't make sense. Don't ever use that. Okay? Please find us on YouTube and on Facebook. At Channel Africa 1 is the handle you use. We are currently streaming live. That means the show is not just audible, it's also visual. And then lastly, DSTV's 802. Now, every experience that we live through is sorted somewhere in our minds, in our emotions, and often in our bodies. For survivors of gender-based violence, silence doesn't mean absence. It can mean survival. And yet that very silence sometimes speaks through the body, in tension, in posture, in breathing, and in energy. Now, neuro-linguistic programming reminds us that the body and the mind are one communication system. What we repress or what we choose to keep away in thought can emerge in physical form. Now, as research in trauma suggests and somatics, and now, of course, tilting towards psychology, we are learning that trauma isn't just remembered, it's embodied. And this is something I want you to remember, that phrase, that trauma isn't just a memory. It's also part of the embodiment of who you are presently. Now, today we have a sit down with Cathy Mphirima, a neuro-linguistics practitioner and life coach, to explore how subtle forms of gender-based violence can shape the body's language, how unspoken experiences might manifest as tension, and how awareness, language, and guided healing can help release what words alone cannot. Thank you so much for joining us, Cathy. Welcome to African Diaries.
Thank you, Shayla, for having me. How are you doing this evening?
You know what? I'm on the fence. Let me be honest, right? I'm on the fence.
Yeah.
And I'm on the fence because we always think about, firstly, gender-based violence as this thing that physically manifests, right?
Yeah.
He was hit, she was hit. You know, it's usually, and it's ever so robustly explained as a physical experience, that when we talk about silent GBV, it almost shakes your boat a little bit. Perhaps let's give definition to that. What is silent GBV?
I think it says it all, like you just said. What is silent GBV? It is the GBV that we experience. It could be emotional, it could be financial, it could be psychological. Those are the GBVs that we experience, but you never get to see it. Meaning that it's not like your physical GBV where we can see the scars and all those things that you say, yo, you are going through this. But what is happening is that with silent GBV is the emotional impact of it that we never speak about, where we can look at the couple or look at people and they look so happy together. But when you realize that woman or that man is going through a lot. So basically that you find when it comes to your psychological, your mental, and your emotional and financial GBV, that's where you find it.
Now, from your experience in the field of NLP, let's talk about how the body communicates messages that the conscious mind or the voice might suppress.
I think it's something that we don't realize. Sometimes you might complain and say, "My right hand is painful," or "I've got migraine," I've got this constant sharp pain." And you might think maybe it's got to do with your work, it's got to do with the heavy load that you're doing, but not realizing that the body is taking a toll. And it's trying to send you the signals to say, hey, you are not taking care of me, you're not taking care of me, because so much is going on in your life. So what the body will do is that some people will be through their eyes, or some people will be through their arms, some people will be, it's either their stomach as well. You might find out that you start having diarrhea and all of that stuff. Or you can, it's a lot of signs, but it depends on Do you listen to your body? Do you even understand your body, that when you're going through anxiety, when you're going through stress, what does it do? So it's all about that we go through all of these things on daily basis, and we want to diagnose it to say, no, maybe it's flu symptoms, maybe it's this and then, but you don't realize that your body is telling you that I'm taking a toll. This the things that you're not talking about, the things that you are keeping inside, they're actually toxic to my body, and the body wants to let them out.
Sure. Let's talk about somatic memory. What is that?
Sure. I guess somatic memory, that's when, sometimes we go through things and we think we've forgotten them. We just go through them and we think, no, I've gone through this thing, therefore I do not know what it's all about, or I will not think about it. Then something happens, some triggers happens, and you're like, sure, those things start coming back. And that's when you start seeing that whenever you're talking to other people, maybe you will be saying certain things or doing certain things, and you just see people reacting in a certain manner. Their body language, you start reacting in a certain manner and realize that, oh, I spoke about this thing and I thought it was just an in general topic, but I see that this person is reacting to that.
Now, Coach Cathy, the reality is that the ordinary Joe, Shayla, let's not even go to Joe, leave Joe alone. Shayla over here does not know how to read these signs, right?
Hmm.
I think it's really interesting, and we spoke about this off air, where you were telling me that sometimes you mimic the person in front of you,
Yeah.
and you sort of copy their mannerisms without even picking up that you're doing that. Perhaps let's give definition to why it is our body responds in a particular way, right? Just across the context.
Okay. Yeah. So normally, I'm just going to talk about me, especially when I coach young people, right? They will walk into the room because they think coaching is therapy, and already in their mind is that I'm going to therapy and all of that. So they will walk into the room. When they walk into the room, they'll sit on a couch, and when they see the person, that you realize that their hands are folding, meaning that they're trying to tell me that you do not know me, I do not know you, and I'm not willing to open up, and you're not going to get me to do any of those things. Then you will realize that, okay, their hands is folding and their legs are crossed at the same time, and you are talking to this person, but you can see that they are listening, but their body is not there. So normally what we would do as neuro-linguistic practitioner, whenever I'm talking to this person, probably I'll just do a certain sign, or I will change my position. Without them realizing, they will start mimicking what I'm doing. So with time, when we're busy talking, because whenever I talk to them, I'm very open. My hands, I'll be using my hands, or I'll be using my body changing and making sure that I'm sitting comfortable. So a few minutes later, if somebody was to walk in, we'll be wondering what's going on, because when you walk in, you might find that my coachee and I are sitting in the same position. We have tilted our heads the same way and everything. But the way I do it, it is intentional because I want this person to open up. So we do it on daily basis. You get to a place and somebody starts yawning and all of you starts yawning. And you wonder, why are we all yawning? It's not that all of you are tired. It's because one person started doing it and you find yourself subconsciously doing it without realizing. Or somebody started by, twisting, maybe clicking their hands or whatever, and all of you are following that. So it is something that is happening in our brains without us realizing. So it's a way of finding out whether the person is getting you, or the way of finding messages from their body, that where are we at? Are we building a rapport? Are we still closed up, or are we opening up a little bit?
Sure. Really interesting there. Let's come back to the subject matter, which is really to address silent GBV violence, right? Now, many survivors of gender based violence never fully disclose what it is they have gone through. Now, in your practice, how might subtle body language or physical tension give clues to the unspoken trauma? And I say this not just in the case or in the presence of somebody who has experienced physical violence. I want to talk about those who have experienced financial abuse and they don't realize that this is actually abuse. Those who have experienced verbal abuse and they think that, you know what, this was just tough love.
Mm. No, it happens all the time, especially when you mention the verbal abuse. Because the minute somebody speaks to you in a certain manner or they treat you in a certain manner, you think it's okay. It becomes normal to you. So whenever you come there, because you are so used to it, or if somebody will say something, maybe that it triggers you, you will react in a certain manner. You find that some people, when you're talking to them, Shayla, they wrap themselves. Their hands will be all over them like this, meaning that they are busy protecting themselves. and you are wondering what is it that they're protecting themselves from. So what you need to do is to pay attention, especially when you have a history, because before a person comes to you, talk to them, you'll get to understand that no, this is what is happening, this is what is going on. And then you realize that, oh, actually Kathy is going through emotional abuse or going through financial abuse without realizing it. Because you'll hear a person saying, oh no, it's because I am wasting, it's because I'm doing this, then he withhold hold money from me. And then you realize, but when they talk about this and you can see the anxiety that comes with it, some of them will literally shake, to say that this is what is happening. And you can see that this is what they experience on daily basis, that when they start talking about certain subjects, they are a no-go area. We do not talk about our emotions. We do not talk about how we feel. We do not talk about our finances. You know what? You just take whatever that I give you. But it will come out, it's either in their shaking, or you can hear even in the voice when they talk about it. Sometimes it will be just the two of you, and if somebody will even speak lower, in a way to say, no, we are not supposed to be heard because this is supposed to be a secret. And that's what happens when you've experienced people that choose to be silent about their GBV, is that they become so protective of the perpetrator because they, as the victim, they think they are the reason why this thing is happening.
Coach Cathy, I want to talk about awareness. Right, more often than not, we celebrate awareness. If you know, you can change.
Mhm.
Yes, but I feel like in this instance, how am I going to know? How's Shayla going to know that Shayla's currently experiencing tensions in her body, and this is due to something she experienced at age 6? And I'm asking this for the people who have chronic experiences of a particular thing. So certain symptoms that I had looked up is you are often fatigued, you withdraw from your crowd. There's certain muscle tensions that you consistently experience to the extent where it's chronic now. And so when we talk about awareness in this particular context, what is awareness, and when do we look for help?
Awareness, it's Shayla, we need to learn to listen to our bodies. And I say it all the time that your body will tell you all the time. Meaning that whenever you are going through something, you must start paying attention. We will ask you a question and said, when did you start feeling like that? Or when do you feel like that? You'll say, no, most of the time, whenever I'm in a bus, I feel my stomach turning, or I feel this and this. And we say, when did this start? How did this happen? You say, oh, one time I was involved in an accident in a bus. So we know that you've got an anxiety. Your anxiety is related to the accident that happened in the bus. So you find out that sometimes when you touch somebody from the back, they are alarmed and they are like screaming and all of that. And you want to say, no, I was just tapping you to say hi. And like, no, don't do it like that. Then you start seeing that, oh, probably this is what is happening, especially when it comes to physical abuse, that when people do things like that. So, meaning that as a person, you need to be present to understand what is happening every minute of your life. Especially when you find yourself in that space, you must find out, how did I even end up being the person that is drinking tablets on continuously for pain for all of these things? When did it all start? Because you know what, like you say, we normally deal with the symptoms, but we never deal with the root cause. Because once we deal with the root cause, it will be easy for us to say, okay, fine. Most of the time, I am more anxious when I find myself in a place like this and this and this and that. And that will help you to say, now that means I need to be aware that whenever I'm in that place, I need to start programming my mind and telling my mind that no, we are going to this place and the place is safe and we're going to be okay, meaning that you do that. And if you find that by you trying to do this and all of that, it is not coming okay, that's when therapy comes in. That's when coaching comes in, where you speak to somebody and say, you know what, I have noticed or I have realized that when it comes to towards end of the month, I've got a pain, or I'm experiencing pains and all of that. And then that's when you realize that because end of the month is a very touchy subject when it comes to the finances in your home. So your body is already preparing itself to say, how am I going to protect myself against that which is coming my way? So your body starts giving you signals to say, hey, prepare, prepare, prepare. You know what? You start feeling the pain, you start feeling all of that. Or if it is a matter of emotional abuse, your body starts saying, "Ooh, he is coming back home, or she's coming back home, and she's gonna shout, she's gonna do whatever." So what do? You start preparing yourself to say that I'm not gonna answer, I'm not gonna do that. But the body is saying, "I've had enough. I need to explode. I need to release." So if you're somebody that does not even feel like going to therapy or speaking to anybody, journaling can be your best friend. That you journal your emotions, you journal how you feel, you put it in writing, and you don't have to check the spelling or anything, but you release everything that is in your body. Because if you don't do that, something is going to take on. And like, I know of a case where somebody was going through that, and it ended up affecting their eyesight, that they woke up one morning and they could not see. And that was the sign of the body to say that, hi, Bo, I've been getting a lot, I've been taking in a lot, but now I'm shutting down. So we don't need to get to that. So, meaning that, pay attention. When your body is giving you signs that you do not know about, ask yourself, why am I feeling the way that I'm feeling? What has just happened? And it might not be the trauma that happened in your adulthood, like you mentioned. It might have been something that happened while you were still a child. And then there is something that is happening currently in your adulthood that just reminded you. You spoke about the somatic, that just reminded you of your past and everything. And then because of that, then your body went into the tense mode.
Sure. Coach Cathy, quite a bit that you've said there. So I was just taking down some notes. Right. You spoke about being present, making the question, why am I feeling this way? What is it that I'm feeling? Then you spoke about an intentional rewiring process, and you gave us one way to do it, which is journaling, and another is rectifying your understanding of certain contexts. And then you said we should look out for help or seek help should this rewiring process be a struggle for us. I want to talk about the power of words. Now, this is not an expression of trauma that will come through wording. In actual fact, it looks like words fail us in this particular context. But I do think that they serve as a saving grace, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because in order for my brain to think differently, I need to say different things to myself. Right.
True.
So perhaps ours is to now give definition to the power of words. Because sometimes I don't know, we're a bit blasé, nonchalant with the way we speak to ourselves, the way we
Mm-hmm.
speak to a context, the way we speak about trauma, all
Yeah.
in the name of protecting ourselves, which doesn't help anything. And so
Mm-hmm.
perhaps let's talk about the power of words and how we ought to be cautious with those.
The amazing part is that I think I'm just going to talk about the South African population, right? I think majority of us are Christians. And the good books say the power of life and death lies in the tongue. So, meaning that positive talk and positive self talk, it says a lot about the person that you are. Because whatever you say about yourself, it's what is going to come to pass. The mind is something else. So if I believe that I'm this amazing person, if I believe that I'm a confident person, if I believe that I'm great, I'm awesome, I'm all of that, believe you me, I will act out that way because that's how I'm thinking and that's what I'm saying. And my mind will go out and make sure that I act out the same way. But if I'm of the belief that I'm not good enough, if I'm of the belief that nobody cares about me and all of that, it will show because it will show in how you take care of yourself. I always say that for you to be respected, you need to respect yourself first. For you to be loved, there must be love inside of you. And for you to be able to say, I am this amazing person, or you want people to say that you are amazing, it should come inside of you. So everything that is happening on the outside, it is a reflection of what's inside of us. So meaning that even if we say it's jokes, like I don't like this thing of just joking about things that are negative when it comes to us. So meaning that even jokes, they go out there and they go into the world and they create. So we must be very careful about what, especially how we talk to ourselves, how we talk to our kids, how do we talk to other people, because those things they go out and create, and you start believing them. And when you start believing those words, you become the words that you speak. So positive self-talk, it is not. It's got to do with motivation. It's got absolutely nothing to do with everything. That's why it's important that you do positive affirmation where you will even wake up in the morning and start becoming grateful. And another thing that people can do that is a gratitude journal where every day at the end of the day you say what is it that I'm grateful for. Even if you were to identify three things on daily basis for those things to be grateful for, believe you me, a heart that is full of gratitude is bound to see greatness and is bound to flourish. So you do that, you write it down. I'm one person, probably can see behind my wall, there is that thing that I do. Whenever I think about something positive, whether being it on the spiritual or the motivational side of it, I write it down and I just stick it on the wall. Meaning that it is a constant reminder that when I wake up in the morning or whenever I walk into my room, I do that. All those little things that look like, they're so untidy, but it's messages, which is positive messages that when I walked in, they remind me of how gorgeous I am, how great I am, and how beautiful life is. So start putting them in everywhere where you can see them, being it by your mirror. If you believe that you're not beautiful, if you believe that you're not confident, put that thing by your mirror where it will remind you every morning to say, Shayla, you are confident, you're beautiful, you are amazing, you're great. By seeing that thing every day, it will become you.
You know what I find really interesting, Coach Kathy, is how we journal, but we never revisit that book,
And
you
it's
know?
important.
And I, to an extent, feel like sometimes, and listen, correct me if I'm wrong, sometimes I'm like, what's the point of scribing in this book? Because the reality is, I'm going to scribe day one, and then we get to day 110, and then day 225, and then day 365, and then I chuck the book away, you know?
No.
And so maybe let's talk about creating a system that allows us to reflect and then pay gratitude, be grateful, if you will, for a particular context. And I'm saying this because I think it's hard to be grateful when you don't have a starting point. Right? Because I
I,
see very many social media posts. Hey, be grateful. Oh, thank everybody. Oh, everything's amazing. And then you sit back and you're like, but why am I grateful? You know?
I like the question that you ask. It starts with the why. Don't just do things because it's a social media trend. It starts with the why. Why am I grateful? And sometimes, whenever we talk about being grateful, we associate it with material things. People think that I need to be grateful when I've got material things. But just waking up in the morning is something to be grateful for. It's an ah moment. Being able to go to the bathroom is something to be grateful for because there is somebody who is depending on a catheter at the hospital because they cannot go to the bathroom by themselves. Being able to get out of the room and there are people that you stay with in the house and they say good morning is something to be grateful for. I think we think when we think about gratefulness, we think about being gratitude. We think about I should be having the best car, I should be having the best house. But it's in little moments. It's on those small things. For me, it's like even when I look out the window, as we in traffic and somebody smiles. For me, that makes my day. I become so excited that even in the midst of this traffic where we are frustrated with all the roads being fixed at the same time, I do not know why, but we can still look at each other and smile and say, yeah, you know what, we're going to be late at work, but it's okay. We can still smile. So those are things that you become grateful for because somebody wishes they could wake up in the morning and still be in the traffic and go to work, but they do not have that. So, and I want to go back to you when it comes to the journaling. When you were mentioning that most of the time we write the journal, you said why? We write a journal. For me, it is a reminder that whenever I'm going through the toughest time of my life, I go back to my journal as a reminder that once upon a time, I was faced with challenges and I managed to overcome. And sometimes I go back to my journal and I'm like, yeah, no, girl, you used to write nonsense. You were going through the most. Like, honestly, what was this? And you see growth. The reason why we visit our journals is to see how you have grown. If you look at the beginning of your journal, it was a complaining one. You were complaining every day. Life is tough and all of that. And with time, you change the tone because you realize that you know what you are growing as a person. So the reason why we journal, we do not journal just for the sake of journaling, but is to journal to say this is how I am feeling at the time. When you find yourself in the same position maybe years later, you are able to go back and say I overcame this. So it is just a reminder to say that you've done it before, you've been here before, and you can overcome anything that you want.
The voice there of Cathy Mphirima, linguistics programming practitioner, joining us this evening. She's also a life coach. Coach Cathy, thank you so much for helping us bridge neuroscience, coaching, and compassion. We appreciate your presence on the show, and this has been rather fruitful.
Thank you so much, Sheila, for having me, and have yourself a good night.
As should you. It is a minute after 11 p.m. Central African time. If you have just joined us, that conversation really helping us understand, firstly, that trauma doesn't just live in your mind, it lives in your body. Right? And so if you're thinking to yourself, why am I struggling to lose weight? Maybe it's trauma. I'm not saying account everything that you are to trauma or every area of your life that you feel like there isn't any success and just throw that chuck into trauma. I'm not saying that that's the case, but be cognizant of what it is you feel. Actually listen to your body so you can better understand it. Let's take a quick breather. When we get back, we talk all things team sports and mental well-being.
African Diaries, weekdays, 10 till midnight.